Weekly Fade, presented by Saturday Tailgate, and this week's brought to you by Tavor. Tavor? You like to get drunk. Everyone likes to get drunk. So you go to them, Tavor.com. You pretty much put together your craft beer that you want for the month. They ship you a box. You use Tailgate in your promo code, and you get free beer on us. So, who doesn't like to get fucked up? We'll start right at the top, Dante. Go ahead and I'll let you lead off with Miami, Florida. Florida's currently sitting at -7.5.
Going into week 0, we've kind of talked about it a little bit. The rankings really don't mean much. It's a time of the year where you're just kind of basing it off of last year. We saw last year, first week of the year, Miami they played LSU. They were the higher seed, supposed to take them down. They ended up getting blown out. So we were talking both teams from Florida, kind of in-state rivalry that they haven't played in a while, but they're getting after it again. So we're liking Miami with the points to start us off. We believe it's +7.5. It's quite a bit of points for the first week, and we think Florida could be possibly overrated this year with some of the stuff that's going on. Tony, you want to pick up on?
I'm going to jump in here. I agree. Once we touch on some over-unders a little bit, I'll talk about how I believe Florida's pretty overrated. But a lot of controversy was kind of going on with the whole QB battle in Miami, but I don't really think it was much of a battle. Jalen Williams won the starting job outright over Perry and over Martell. A lot of stuff I've read into. He was going to transfer after last year, but the coaches talking to sticking around. He won the battle, and it sort of really wasn't even that close. But the national media likes to make it say take Martell this, take Martell that, but it wasn't as close as what it seems in the Sports Center world. 7.5. Love the hook in week 0. Who wouldn't love 7.5? Neutral site. I think it's in Orlando. I think right. The game.
I think it's
Orlando.
I mean, all those players played against each other. I think it's going to be relatively low scoring as well, not only being week 1 or week 0, but also both defenses are pretty good, Florida and Miami. I like the Hurricanes +7.5. My pick.
I just got to throw in too. I am so glad that Tate Martell failed. I don't know what it is. I hate the guy. I hate the guy, and I shouldn't.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Toenails done on that QB1 show. I'd say I had to get away from that.
Yeah.
I mean, his sister's hot, so I hope they end up at UB or something. But one thing too, Dan Mullen is 2-15 versus AP ranked teams in his career. The team is falling apart. I'm buying into Miami. Great defense, great turnover chain tradition. I think Manny Diaz is going to take him to the next step. Or Mark Richt kind of got lazy with recruiting and everything else. I think they're actually going to be talented this year, and I think Florida is highly overrated because they're kind of getting that SEC push. And I kind of think Dan Mullen's just kind of a douchebag who's not going to be able to run a team, and he's going to end up making things fall apart.
I do like Manny Diaz. Guy can coach.
It's probably Temple's best hire ever for, was that 36 hours that he was there?
Yeah, what a day. But do we want to go right into Florida's over-under then, what we think about them? We kind of already talked about that a little bit. I have them under 9.5. I'm thinking they're going to win 8-9 games most. You look at the schedule, you got them. They're at Kentucky. We talked about how the Miami neutral site's going to be tough. They go Tennessee at home. They also go Auburn at home, at LSU, at South Carolina. Those aren't easy games by any means. Then you got them. They got Georgia, and they go at Missouri, and then the rival Florida State at the end. Not an easy schedule by any means. So I think 8-9 wins max. I don't see them getting over the 9.5 that the line's at right now. So I think that under for -140 is what they got it at right now.
I agree. They won 10 games last year in Mullen's first year. Kind of, shocked little people. I think they finished ranked, I think, inside the top 10. So I think, a lot of the preseason hype and love is coming from what happened last year. They bring back Franks. I actually did like what Mullen did with Franks. He did improve, got better. Is it enough? I mean, their schedule, it's a gauntlet. the month of October goes Auburn, LSU, South Carolina, Georgia. That's brutal. I mean, if you go out 2-2, that's a win. But then you're going to be under 9.5 then.
Yeah.
You're going to only lose 2 games to go 10-2. So
I look at UGA and LSU. I'm chalking those up as losses. And then I think they lose to Miami. And even if they beat Miami, they also got to beat Auburn. And then you got South Carolina, Tennessee, a couple other, weird teams in there. Kentucky, maybe they bounce back. I think they're going to lose too much talent for that. But I have Florida under as well. I guess if Florida's good this year, this is just the death of this right away because we're real heavy on the Florida under. But I don't buy into Florida this year. I think there's too much turmoil going on, and I think there's too many issues. And I don't really like Felipe Franks. I think he's good, not great. I understand Dan Mullen had the whole Dak Prescott thing. But again, I need to see more than one. I need to see like some serious growth and development, which he did take a jump last year. But again, he went from not good at all to not bad.
I agree.
I think too that we're kind of underrating the. I think that at Missouri game. I think Missouri's a team that shocks people. That's not a. Right off that gauntlet of games, they go right to Missouri. I mean, that's not. I don't see that as being.
Missouri has a bowl ban that was upheld, right?
Yeah, it was.
So they got nothing to lose.
They got Kelly Bryant from Clemson now over there. So I think they're going to be a very solid team. They're saying this could be one of their better teams ever. Yeah. So,
I mean, I just don't see them getting every coin flip game. Kentucky, Tennessee, Auburn, South Carolina, they would have to win all those games. And then, say they lose LSU, Georgia, just to get to 10-2, and then win at Mizzou and beat Florida State. I mean, it's every week, no let up. I'm thinking 8 wins, 8-4,
That's where I got them too.
Yep.
I mean, good season.
8, 9 max. I would say 9 max, but I don't see a way they get to 10. I love that hook there with the 9.5.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll jump over to just go down the list here. We'll go to Ohio State, 10.5. Dante, I'll let you start it.
All right. I got them over just barely. I think they can get to 10. Looking at their schedule, going right down. I don't think they really have a test for a while. They go Florida Atlantic, Cincinnati, Indiana, Miami of Ohio. I think they get to a 4-0 right off the bat. Then they go Nebraska, Michigan State.
Scary game there. That's a scary game.
Maybe they lose one in there. It's going to be a little tough stretch there. Northwestern was solid last year. I don't know how they'll be this year, really. But
they got that 5-star QB from Clemson.
Yeah.
They do a nice job over there at Northwestern. They coach them up pretty good. They made it to the championship game last year. They're always in a game. They're always competing. Wisconsin, Ohio State always seems to get over on them. Maryland, Rutgers, Penn State, they've had their number the last couple of years, and same with that Michigan game at the end. So I like them. We have it at 9.5, so I think they get right to 10. And I'll take the over for plus 110 on that one.
Oh, you got Ohio State 9.5?
Yeah, is that what we talked about earlier?
I got 9.5 too.
Okay, no, that's me then. I have it at 10.5. That makes my job even easier.
Yep. As you guys know, I'm a Big Ten guru. There's no way they hit 10. I mean, one, how much do you know about Justin Fields? Seriously. He played, okay, great. He was number 1 recruit in 2018. He played sporadically over at Georgia, does what everyone else does. They run away from competition. He goes up to Ohio State. Great. Finally wins the job out. I've seen some things. He hasn't had a great camp. He hasn't had great scrimmages, and playing in the Big Ten against some more veteran teams, they're not scared of Justin Fields. I mean, their schedule, Big Ten, SEC, both those are just gauntlets every single week. They're at Nebraska. They have Michigan State, Northwestern, Wisco. Geez, say they go 3-1 there. And then, they still have Michigan, Penn State. Split that, you're 10-2. You barely cover. I don't see them getting all those, 50-50 games to fall either. Also, I agree. I like Ryan Day, the way he runs the offense and such. But I don't think people aren't accounting for the loss of Urban Meyer. He did a lot of game day stuff. He was a really good game day coach. And I think that can be felt more so this year as a whole season with him not being there. So I'm going under 9.5.
I'm actually kind of the opposite with Urban Meyer leaving because I think he's a fantastic recruiter, but you don't get the whole game day, I'm dying from migraines because Maryland just ripped off another 70-yard touchdown on me. So
that's the one.
Now I do look at the stretch from at Nebraska, Michigan State, Northwestern. I think they dropped one of those games.
Got it.
Specifically, I think the Nebraska game. Going to Nebraska, I think they're going to be better this year. Michigan just can't beat them. Jim Harbaugh just can't beat them. And I think once they lose and they get that one out of their way, whoever it is, I think they come back. Because, I mean, you look at the offense, they got J.K. Dobbins coming back who had, 1,400 yards.
Yeah.
Offensive line stacked. They're just loaded all over the place. They had a top 5 class almost every single year since Urban Meyer's been there. Even if Justin Fields is average, I mean, J.T. Barrett got to a national championship.
Yeah.
Cardell Jones won a national championship. I don't think you need a whole lot. And again, I would say if they beat Nebraska, Michigan State are an upset with Northwestern. Just because for some reason Ohio State seems to drop that one weird game away against like an unranked team. I got them going over, especially at 9.5. I'd probably say 10-2, 11-1.
I think if it's 9.5, I'm liking the over. If it's 10.5, we had some line discussion about that earlier, but I definitely think they're going to be right at 10 is what I think what I've kind of judged it out to be.
Yeah, I feel more comfortable at 10-2, but I think I think they're going to finish 11-1 this year, just because I believe in Ryan Day. I don't know if I believe in Justin Fields, but I believe in the roster Urban Meyer has built. And I just think you don't get the whole Zach Smith, Urban Meyer circus around the team. I think they're actually going to be incredibly talented this year. And Ryan Day's been in the system, so I think everything's going to keep moving status quo. All right, so then we got Oregon 8.5.
I want to start off with them again. I wasn't a Oregon believer really. I did some research today, and I was really looking into it a little bit more. I think they have some potential to be pretty good. I like what that Cristobal's doing there. That Herbert, I didn't realize really how big he was and how much of a prospect he is. I think he's actually going to have a great season. Looking at their schedule, I think they could beat Auburn at week 1. Auburn the last couple of years hasn't been very good. They've always been overrated the last 3 or 4 years. So then if that's a game they can win, they go after that, they go Nevada, Montana. They got a tough Stanford team in there, but then they go Colorado before it kind of gets into Washington State. Then they go USC, Arizona State, Oregon State. I see them being able to win a majority of those games. I got them. We got over 8.5, or 8.5 was the line. I got them at 9 or 10 wins. So I like the over for -120 on that one for Oregon this year.
And you know what? Sadly, I have to agree. I don't like Oregon, but just looking at the schedule, unfortunately, this Herbert's pretty good quarterback. Their O-line is bringing back 153 starts. They have 10 starters back on offense. I think if they can beat Auburn week 1, I think they're off and running then. Only games I can see being extremely tough slip-ups at Stanford and Washington, tough games right there. But I mean, they get Wazoo and Colorado at home, and I think the big thing too is they don't play Utah. I think Utah's gonna be pretty good out there this year, and they don't have them on the schedule in the crossover. So I think that's a win for them. Over 8.5, I like it. I'm seeing them 9-3. 10-2 possibly. Picks over 8.5.
I got Utah's. I think a lot of stuff would have to happen. It'd be like a backdoor way in, but I could see them being like a Washington a couple of years ago in the playoff. I think they're quietly going to make a lot of noise this year. If that makes sense. Also, hate the way you guys say Oregon. But
it's set.
So actually, I think they beat Auburn. I don't buy into Auburn this year. I don't buy into Gus Malzahn. There's a lot of QB questions going on. The defense is going to be good as always, but Oregon's got probably one of the best offensive lines in the entire country and a top 3 quarterback. Receivers are a little bit iffy. They seem to drop just about everything. But I actually have them beating Auburn. Stanford's a little questionable. Washington, I think Washington wins that game. Washington State, you never know with Mike Leach. But I probably got Oregon sitting at about 9-3, 10-2. I'm big on them this year. I still think Washington's going to be the leader out of the Pac-12, but I do really like Oregon this year.
This is a team too, I think this team's coming into the season thinking playoffs. I mean, they have the quarterback. They brought in some receivers I was reading about. I think they're going to be improved. Their coach, this is the first time Herbert's had 3 different coaches already in his career. Guys that were there for a short time, got fired, or Taggart left to go to Florida State. And this is the first time he's going to have a returning coach. I think that helps a ton. That's a little underrated sometimes. And I think going into the season, they have very high hopes for how the season's going to go.
Yeah, actually, I think they're going to be talented. But all right, now here's what I've been looking forward to. Notre Dame, 8.5. Dante, what do you think?
Notre Dame, I actually have them over. I'm not a big Notre Dame guy, but they're returning their quarterback again too. I think that's a big step in the right direction. They're a team that's been to the playoffs. I know they were a big letdown once they got there. I don't think they have the toughest schedule again, and they don't.
It's not that tough. I mean,
it's pretty tough.
No, oh my gosh, that's so. What a homer there! Not that tough.
You got Georgia and Michigan in there, and then Stanford. So if they win one out of those 3, I think they're
wild. Yeah.
I got them at 9 or 10 wins. The line's 8.5 right now. So I got them over for -180 is what I saw the line at today. But I mean, you got Virginia, Bowling Green, New Mexico, Louisville.
It's brutal.
They're quality group of 5 opponents.
I'm telling you one thing. It sucks. It's going to be over, and it's brutal that they're not playing Michigan State or some other rival games that they just can't fit in the schedule anymore. But instead, the stadium's going to be so freaking quiet and boring watching Virginia come in and Virginia attack.
Yeah. Virginia's going to be good this year.
I'll believe it when I see it.
They don't even want a part of Army. They took Navy instead on a down Navy team.
They always play. They've been playing Navy since 1940. Get up on your Notre Dame facts, Dante.
They don't want any part of Army. I'll tell you that.
I got them at 10-2. I think they lose to Georgia, and I think they lose at Stanford at the end of the year because something about playing at Stanford, Brian Kelly just cannot win. It's a lock. Notre Dame will beat Michigan at Michigan. I don't think they're that good. I don't buy into Michigan. I'll go deeper in it when we actually talk about Michigan.
I'm on it with that. Overrated.
Yeah, with that too. If we want to transition to them next,
we can actually just jump right into Michigan.
Yeah, because honestly I can't stand Michigan, and I'm starting this off. This hype train, it's already left the station, but tell you what, it's coming off the rails eventually. Tell you that.
No, it doesn't.
The Big Ten is it's such a gauntlet, and Harbaugh stinks. He's not that good of a coach, and Shea Patterson isn't that good either. I don't know. I'm going under 9.5. They have major pressure, major expectations. I mean, at Wisco, Penn State. I mean, you got Michigan State, Notre Dame. They got Iowa too. I was a tough team from the Big Ten West. I don't buy in to Michigan at all. I'm under 9.5 heavy on that one. 3 units.
I agree. I have them under that too. And I think you forgot a team in there. You're telling them about the Big Ten opponents, but you forgot about Army. Army's a team that took Oklahoma to overtime last year. They had them on the ropes. They didn't lose another game after that. And
they got a quarterback too.
Their quarterback's unreal. They got Wisconsin the next week, so they're home against Army. They're going to overlook them. Army's got a hell of a defense, a hell of a defensive coach. The quarterback was actually, for the first time, Army's got a quarterback that can actually throw it. They lead the nation in rushing every year, 1 or 2. I think that's a team that's going to give them a lot of hell, and they're going to overlook it. So even if they sneak out of that, it's going to be a battle. Then you go to Wisconsin, and then you talk about at Penn State, Notre Dame's in there, Michigan State, big rivalry game, and then Ohio State, who they haven't beaten in the Harbaugh era. So I got them at under. I got them under 9 for plus 150, and I think that's a nice price for that kind of bet.
The reason they're going to go under, Shea Patterson just isn't good. He's just not a good quarterback. He beats up on the bad teams, inflate his numbers. So he's going to light up Rutgers and Maryland. But last year when he played Northwestern and Notre Dame, 0 touchdowns combined. So he's not good. And then you bring in Josh Gaddis, who's supposed to be the offensive savior for Michigan. He's never called a play. I understand he was at Alabama and he helped give ideas, but he wasn't the play caller. So is Jim Harbaugh actually going to take his hands off the offense and let a guy who's never actually really done it call the plays? And Shea Patterson's all of a sudden, he wasn't great at Ole Miss. He wasn't great last year, but now he's going to be great this year.
Yeah. Also, can we officially throw out the phrase of Harbaugh being a quarterback czar? That should be in the trash on fire. Obviously not a quarterback czar, okay? Because the last 3-4 quarterbacks they had have either transferred or they've severely underperformed, and they're not getting 3-star guys. They're getting 4 or 5-star recruits, and doesn't pan out. And if you're a quarterback czar, I would think you could probably get a little more out of that position. I mean, geez, they had Brandon Peters starting there a couple years ago. Come on.
It's because of Kaepernick. He hit once on a QB with Kaepernick, and it's kind of the Dan Mullins thing. You did it once. You do it more than once, and I'll start to give you credit because you got something working there. But, I mean, how many more years do we have to give him before we're like, okay, this guy's got it figured out? He's a good coach. He's a very good coach. He's not a top 3 coach. I don't know why he
doesn't win any big games. No big games. Check his record against Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State. I think he's 1 in 8 or something like that. It's not good.
Well, was last year the first year he beat Michigan State and one of their worst years in a while?
Yeah.
Penn State he hasn't beaten. Actually, I think they beat him last year, but
he hasn't beat Ohio State.
Them, and he hasn't beat Ohio State yet. So and he got smoked by Notre Dame last year.
Yeah.
So his record against the big
with Brandon Wimbush, a running back at QB.
They haven't even made the Big Ten title game yet.
That's what I mean.
Come on.
Get there. Get to the show, and then we'll start talking about do you belong in the category or not. Yeah, so that's a firm under on Michigan, 9.5.
We're all on the same page with that one, yep.
All right.
So we got 2 left
Syracuse.
Here. Syracuse.
7.5.
Syracuse, I got them over. I kind of like Syracuse. I think for some reason they're a little underrated. They have a high tempo offense. They light it up. DeVito is better. I like
DeVito.
A pretty good quarterback. Yeah, I mean he slings it. And their schedule is not the hardest. Starting with Liberty and Maryland. I don't see them beating Clemson, but they've given them a hell of a time the last 2 years. They beat them once, and then they took them right to the edge in Clemson last year. They got Western Michigan, Holy Cross, NC State, who's solid. They beat them last year. Pittsburgh, Florida State, you don't really know what you're going to get with them yet. Boston College is always average. Duke, Louisville, Wake Forest. So I see that being a pretty good year for Syracuse. I got them at 8 or 9 wins. So definitely over the 7.5 at minus 150 is what I'm taking them over.
I agree. I think over 7.5. I don't like the ACC a lot. I don't think it's that good. A lot of mediocre teams. I think they only have 2 teams ranked in the top 25 to start the year. I know rankings mean nothing right now preseason, but that's what everyone else is thinking about them too. So until that's proven differently, within a month or 2 of the season, and we kind of see where some teams are and how they are actually. I don't think the ACC is that good. I see 8 wins. I like DeVito a lot too. But that first game, Liberty is not bad. Hugh Freeze on there.
Good.
Hey, check that one out. Over 5.5. Kind of like Liberty a little bit. But I think Hughes wins that game. Yeah, I mean, Dukes, you got Wake Forest, you got Louisville. I mean, those are W's there. I mean, Clemson's a loss on there. I don't know who else they got in their schedule that's, toss up to Florida State.
Honestly,
NC State.
And Florida State are the only ats that are kind of tough. Everybody else is kind of.
I'm thinking it's going over. I like over 7.5 too.
I had the over, but just kind of digging a little bit deeper on it. I actually think that Louisville game at the end of the year could be tough because Scott Satterfield comes over from Appalachian State, and the guy can coach. So I think the beginning of the year is going to be a disaster as he's still trying to figure his team out. I'll just say I'm a lot happier Notre Dame gets Louisville week 1 and not week 9 or 10. I think that's going to be a good team come the end of the year. Not great, but a good team. And everyone talks about, Tommy DeVito. He's the highest rated QB to come through Syracuse in a while. The offense, Dino Babers. But Syracuse has, first they got a kicker. It's an All-American, so that's pretty sweet. But they also have quietly.
Big part.
They have a really good defensive line. Their defense as a whole is actually a really good unit. And I think it kind of gets overlooked. I mean, I can't remember how many starters are returning, but this is a majority of a team coming back here where I actually think they get an improvement at QB. They beat Clemson 2 years ago, and they took them to the wire last year in Trevor Lawrence's first game that he got knocked out of. I think Syracuse could be another 10-win team this year. This is my lock for the over, by the way. One of my locks. I think this is easy money. Syracuse gets to at least 8 games this year.
Yeah, I'm all on board for that one. I like that one.
What do we got
Where's
left?
that Liberty game? Is
At
that in the
Liberty.
Dome?
No, it's at Liberty.
Oh, tell you what, could be a nail biter early. Liberty's going to score. Hugh Freeze is going to put points up. I think they're going to have a nice year down there because he's going to be down there for maybe a year or two and get back into a Power 5 school after they brush off all those things. Oh, they look past his allegations and stuff and, what came down. I'm telling you what, it's kind of like a Bobby Petrino kind of thing. It's a stepping stone back into some bigger, schools. And, that's my thought there.
Bobby Petrino, he goes for one motorcycle ride in Arkansas, and all of a sudden everyone thinks he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
He can kind of coach. All right, Texas, 9.5.
Texas, our last one. I'm a big Herman fan, but for some reason I got them under 9. We got it at 9.5 here. I got them at 9 wins. I think they got a very tough schedule. LSU, I think, will be solid. Then they go at West Virginia. Oklahoma is going to be solid again. Kansas State, Old Man Snyder's back for another year. I think he wants to die on the field. He might take him out himself.
I don't want to throw him under the bus here, but he retired.
No, didn't he come back?
I know. It's weird. No, it's Chris Kleiman from North Dakota State's there now.
Oh, okay. I thought
he's all in our hearts.
No,
yeah, he walked away last year.
Oh, then maybe I might have to change my pick there because he's a hell of a coach and he might be sending some signals from his living room. But anyways, I don't know. I got him at 9 wins. I would take the under on that.
Unless Bill Snyder's coming to play, I don't care if he's there or not. They're not beating Texas.
No.
I have Texas on the over here. I got them losing to Oklahoma. Gun to my head, I think they lose to LSU, but they get LSU at home, so I could see them pulling that upset off.
That's home? That's not neutral site?
It might be neutral site.
Texas Memorial Stadium. No, it is home. Yep.
Okay. The other game, 2 games actually, I really have circled at Iowa State.
Oh yeah.
At Baylor.
Those teams will be good this year. Both those games are tough games.
That's actually, I like Charlie Brewer, the QB from Baylor. I think he could be a dark horse Heisman candidate nobody's really talking about.
How about Brock Purdy?
Yeah. I mean, as a true freshman, the kid was phenomenal last season. So I'm all in on Iowa State. Oklahoma State, too. They're just this weird, scrappy Mike Gundy team. He's got the blonde mullet now. He's not joking around. He's 52. He's still a man. I do have Texas at 10 wins, right behind Oklahoma in the Big 12. But I'm not confident in that pick. I could definitely see Texas, because Texas is also one of those weird teams under Tom Herman. They come out and they beat Oklahoma, and then they lose to Maryland. There's no consistency.
That's why I can't back them. I just can't back them.
My lean's under 9.5 here. I do think, though, if they beat Oklahoma, I think they're for real then. But those games, I like Iowa State a lot, and Baylor, on the road in Waco and Ames. Those are not easy games. I like Ellinger a lot, though, actually. Thinks he's a really good quarterback. Yeah. He was kind of overlooked last year because of the whole Kyler Murray stuff, but his stats are kind of right behind him, though. He accounted for over 50-something touchdowns last year, and if it wasn't for Kyler Murray, he probably would have been player of the year in the Big 12 there. Go ahead, Dan.
No, I was going to say he threw 2 picks against Maryland in that horrific loss, but then I was reading he didn't have another pick for 10 games after that. So he had a hell of a bounce back. They beat Oklahoma, then they go toe to toe with them in the championship game. I like Herman. He seems to always pull off the big win, but like you guys were saying, they always seem to drop one that they have no business losing. So for that reason, I can't fully back them.
I mean, it's not that I don't think Texas is good. I think they're solid. They're definitely more improved than when it was a dumpster fire about 3 years ago when they're not even bowl eligible. But I think it's more so just how much I like Iowa State and Baylor. Love what Rule's done over there. Love what Campbell's done over at Iowa State. I'm high on both those teams. Those are tough games on the road. Maybe they split them, but I mean, I could easily see them, get swept as well. And it's no knock on Texas. It's just those teams I think are going to be that good come the end of the year.
And I don't think the Big 12, they don't have the top talent like the SEC or the Big 10. I do think they're the deepest conference, where outside of West Virginia this year, Kansas State, I think anyone can make a serious run. Texas Tech's kind of a fringe team there. I don't know if I totally buy into them.
I don't like TCU much either, though.
I'm not buying into TCU so much this year. A lot of the experts are. I mean, it's Gary Patterson. He's one of the better coaches in the country. And I don't think he's ever had 2 bad seasons back to back at TCU. He always seems to follow him up with like a 10-2 season. I'm not buying into him, but I do think the Big 12's deep, and Tom Herman is just inconsistent. It's kind of like that Jim Harbaugh. Once you can prove that you can go a whole season without losing to Maryland, then I'll consider it. I'll start buying into you. I think they're back. They're relevant. They're nationally relevant. They're a fringe playoff team, but I think Herman's still got a lot more to prove, or I'll start confidently betting in him. All right. So what do you got? Just do quick locks.
Yep.
So, why don't you start?
My quick lock here. You know what? Down in Carolina, I love East Carolina right now. The Pirates are going to be over 4.5. So, brought in Mike Houston, coach over James Madison for the last 3 years. Went 37-6, won a national championship in D1 AA in the FCS. Holden Ahlers, that's named to kind of remember. He's kind of like a mini Tim Tebow. He was a true freshman last year. They returned 7 players on defense. 6 of the top 8 receivers are back. Scheduling is huge. They don't play Houston. They don't play Memphis. They're going bowling. I see 5-6 wins there. I think that's a lock over 4.5.
Go ahead, Heather.
All right. So this is going to sound, I think some people might think this is a little crazy, but I got Army, and I think this is a lock by all locks. The Black Knights over 10 wins. They got a hell of an easy schedule. I think it's their best team ever. They have a quarterback back that was just performed like crazy last year. The defense is solid. They're disciplined always, leading the nation in rushing always. You look at their schedule, they go Rice at Michigan. I know everyone would laugh if you pick them over Michigan right now, but they did take Oklahoma into overtime last year. It ended up being their only loss. Oklahoma takes Bama to the wire in the playoffs. So let's say even they lose that one, they go. They got the Road Runners in week 3, Morgan State, Tulane, Western Kentucky, Georgia State, San Jose, Air Force, UMass, VMI, Hawaii, and Navy. I think it's an easy 12-win year, if not an undefeated season at 13-0. So I got the Black Knights. I'm very high on them this year.
Jeez, that AD did no justice for him. Come on. Pick someone to play.
All right. So I'm going to go a little bit different here. Illinois, over under 4. And this, they got Akron, UConn, Eastern Michigan. 3-0. Lock it. 3-0.
I don't know about it. I don't think there's no lock with Illinois to win any game. I don't think. But they
get Smith still there.
UConn is like a borderline high school team this year. Lock it in. UConn's a win. They're going to come in at 3-0, riding high, and then they're going to drop like their next 7. But then they got Rutgers in late November. Oof. Even if they win, I'll take the push because I don't see them beating Nebraska, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Purdue, Michigan State, Iowa, or Northwestern.
Oh, they don't have a shot.
And I think they lose to Rutgers. So I got them finishing 3-9. So it's not even a push. Put your money on Illinois under 4.
Tell you what, that stadium in Piscataway in late November, that noon kick is gonna be empty. No one's gonna be at that game. It's gonna be freezing cold. Oh my God! Love
Wait,
that
is
match.
still there?
Yeah, I love. He looks like he's dying.
Yeah.
Illinois.
He hasn't been the same since
He
was with the
looks
Bears.
terrible. He's got Illinois. He's probably got 1 year left before he dies.
Oh, oh man.
All right. You guys got anything else?
That's all. That's all.
Good. I'm looking for a nice start to week 0. My favorite
right.
week of the
Where can they find you guys on social media?
Yep. My Twitter handle at tnx22. You know, check me out over there.
You can check me out on Instagram at Dano Gator. Giving out free picks once in a while. Stay tuned.
All right, you can follow the site at Saturday Tailgate, Sat Tailgate 1, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that. You can catch us at SaturdayTailgate.com. Appreciate it, guys. See you guys next week.